Okay, so let's use Adobe Express to remove the background, and this is free. You don't need to start a free trial. You just need to register. So once you register, and just keep it free, and Adobe Express allows you to remove background as many times as you want. Okay, so for that, you could start here, but do not start with the start from your content. Instead, click on remove background, and then you can click here to find your image, or you can actually just drag and drop. So I'll do that. Just drag and drop. And that did a pretty good job. So all I want is this right here, but that's okay. So I download it, and then right here in Chrome, I can just click on this. Here it is. That's the file that I want. And then I copy and paste into Keynote because that's what I want. I want this subject right here, and I only want this, but that's okay. Just go to Edit Mask, and we go like this, and then on the left, and voila. That is what we want. But you might be asking, why don't you just do it in Keynote directly? And stay tuned for that story. Okay, so this is the effect I was going for. So this is just a photo, but using Keynote with a magic move between two slides, you can get this kind of effect. It's sort of like a dolly zoom in a way, where I can just bring the subject in and then send it back. But in order to do that, I need to be able to remove the background, or the inversion of that, which is just to select this subject. And in the old days, before I updated to Mac OS 15.6, you used to be able to do that. So remove background was really nice. You could go from this to this. And it's not perfect, but it's really good, and you can refine it a little bit. But that's really, really helpful, as it's just one button push, boom, done. And you can use it for, things like this, put a video in the background, and so on. Okay, but let's remove background now. Let's see what it's like. So here we have the original photo, and just remove background, and this is what I get. And this over here is fine. We can remove that easily, but I get this border around it. Whereas before, I would just get this. That's really nice. Now I'm getting this. And yeah, you can go in and you can try to mess with it, but it's really cumbersome, and it's a mess. It's a big mess, and that is not an improvement. So, well, let's try it with something else. How about this? Now, in the old days, this would be very simple. Obviously, this is the subject. Everything else is sort of blurry in the background. Remove background, and voila. Yeah, that would be good, except we have this ugly border around everything. Okay, how about this? In this case, you try to imagine, if it's just a one click, we just want the subjects in the front. That would work, but again, we have this border around it. Well, how about something really easy? Surely, in this case, just the white. I mean, this is very, very simple. So this is going to be able to get rid of all of the white. So remove background. But again, we have a border around it, which isn't what we want. So this is what we're left with. What's going on here? Okay, this is on my MacBook Air, which has OS 13.4. So in this case, remove background. You see, we get this. And that's much, much better. And of course, it just took a guess. So the subject there, the woman in the front, is the only thing that's not blurry. That's in focus. That's the main subject. So, but anyway, Apple did a pretty good job. The intelligence behind it did a good job. But that's in the old OS. And if I try that today on 15.6, you can see the difference side by side. That's not an improvement, and it's quite vexing. So if we use this to go for this effect, you can see that it doesn't really work because we have that nasty border around everything, and yeah, it's a mess. It doesn't work. So you can see side by side, using old OS 13.4 is better. It has nothing to do with Keynote itself, because I put an old Keynote into Mac OS 15.6 and 15.5, and it didn't make any difference. It still was terrible. So it's not the app itself, but it's actually system-wide kind of thing. But in Apple Preview, it did give a different result under 15.6, which was actually in some ways worse because it can't be saved. It's really blurry and jaggy around the edge. So this doesn't work. This is not good. Using the old OS, if you're still using Keynote with an older version of Mac OS and you get this and you remove background, then just stick with that. But even better is Adobe Express, as I showed before. And you can use that for free, unlimited, at least for now. You don't have to register for the free trial, just register. And that gives a really, really nice result. So much better, you can see. For example, here, and then look at here. It really understood in the neck. It's not bad. This isn't bad, but this is even much, much better. And then with hair, it's like the AI knows that, okay, now we're dealing with hair, so we're going to have to put maybe a little bit of a feather just on the edge, where here it didn't. Well, we could make this better, but I could live with this. That's not bad. and this is just much better. So that's my workflow now. I use Adobe Express for remove background and also for blur tool, because Apple Keynote doesn't have a blur tool, which is insane. I love Keynote and I use Keynote. I much prefer to use Keynote than anything else. But man, it's vexing that they don't put a blur tool in, and that they took a beautiful remove background and made it worse. So maybe it's just me. I'm only using a few computers here, so if your results are different, and if you're using a Mac OS newer version 15 or 15.6, the latest update, if it works for you and you're getting a really nice kind of edge like this, then please let me know. Maybe it's just something on my end, but at least on my computers, using the latest OS, I cannot get rid of this ugly border, and I much prefer the old ways like this. But the point is moot in a way, because as long as Adobe Express works, it's not really a problem just going to Adobe Express for now.